According to General Hospital spoilers, fans are wondering why Sonny Corinthos isn't protecting his family from all of the enemy threats. The mob boss has continually failed to deliver in recent months, therefore something must change. First, Michael Corinthos was caught in the explosion at Sonny's penthouse and sustained severe burns. That hit was intended for Sonny, yet he still let Michael land in harm's way. Michael could have faced a harsh ending, and this isn't the first time he's been caught up in mob violence. Kristina-Natalia Davis is certainly a target now that Charlie's pub has been set on fire, most likely as a result of Sonny's dispute with Jen Sidwell. Some GH viewers have taken to social media to express their dissatisfaction with Sonny's inability to protect those he loves. You'd think that with the recent threats on Sonny's life and his decision to reject Sidwell's offer, he'd have some extra precautions in place. Instead, Kristina had to face the flames and watch the bar Sonny had given her go up in smoke. Sonny should have done more to keep Kristina and his other children safe, but he has clearly lost control of the situation. Will Sonny be able to recover control, or will things worsen before they improve? Sidwell has been looking at CCTV images of Sonny's other loved ones, which puts them at risk as well. Sonny will plot vengeance in the future episodes, which could exacerbate his battle with Sidwell and lead to further attacks on his family. Sonny will undoubtedly beef up his protection, but it may not be enough. Sonny must strive harder to keep his children and grandchildren safe from threats like Sidwell and anyone else who may wish to harm them. It's time to pull out all the stops to beat Sidwell and restore peace to Port Charles. General Hospital spoilers predict Sonny will fight back against all the unpleasant news that strikes, so stay tuned for updates on his changing intentions. Sonny Corinthos was once a man who instilled terror and respect. In the realm of General Hospital, his name carried considerably more weight than the Corinthos coffee empire or the underworld of Port Charles. He was a protector, a provider, and a guy willing to burn down the world to keep his family safe. But now viewers are asking the issue that has been hanging in every aspect of the show. What happened to Sonny's edge? Why is the once feared mob boss always a step behind, unable to anticipate dangers and consistently failing to protect those he claims to love the most? Sonny's power hasn't vanished altogether. He's still capable, feared in some circles, and the man people talk about when crisis arises. But something has shifted. Whether it's due to age, trauma, conflicting loyalties, or emotional instability, Sonny no longer governs his surroundings with the same precision and control as before. And the effects are beginning to be terrible. His family is as broken as it has ever been. His relationship with Michael is tense, alternating between frigid civility and downright hatred. Despite many attempts to repair the breach, something remains unspoken. An unresolved betrayal or bitterness that Sonny allied himself with Nina, as Michael tried to rebuild his life following the Wiley's secret and Willow's health crisis. Sonny has attempted to rationalize his decisions and even to play the role of peacemaker, but each time he does so, he appears to stumble. He's misreading his children's needs, making promises he can't meet, and reacting too slowly to threats he used to prevent before they started. Take Ava for example. Her position in Sonny's life has been increasingly tenuous in recent months. She was once his antagonist, but she is now something of a confidant, or at least a frequent presence. Despite their weird truce, Sonny overlooked the clues that something ominous was happening around her. When the threats against her escalated, Sonny waited far too long to intervene. And even then, his acts were reactive rather than strategic. Before Ava became afraid, the Sonny of the past would have already assembled a team, identified the threat to its source, and neutralized it. Now she's left looking over her shoulder, wondering if Sonny still has what it takes to keep her and others safe. Then there is Dex. Dex, a former enforcer and now disillusioned apprentice, once looked up to Sonny. But even Dex noticed the fissures growing. The discrepancies in Sonny's judgment, emotional outbursts, the instances in which his intuition failed him. Dex eventually walked away, which says something because men like Dex don't depart until they detect instability or a lack of reciprocation for their loyalty. Sonny was caught off guard, and he didn't appear to be prepared to replace him. He lives in a world of ghosts, relying on old techniques, trusting old relationships, and disregarding the quickly shifting power dynamics around him. The treachery with Nina had a severe impact on the entire family, not just Sonny. When it was revealed that Nina was the one who tipped off the SEC and began the investigation into Carly and Drew, Sunny's inability to see past her veneer was startling. It wasn't just a personal oversight. It was a professional error of judgment. Sunny, a man who used to read people like open books and could tell when someone was lying with a single glance, entirely misread Nina's motivations. Fans were stunned when Sunny defended her, sheltered her, and even attempted to arbitrate between her and Carly, despite knowing how much damage she had caused. And now that the truth has been out, Sunny's reactions have been tepid at best. He has not launched the type of counterattack that many expected. He did not cut Nina off with the ferocity of a betrayed man. Instead, he's uncertain, trapped in a moral fog, questioning his instincts. It's a long cry from the Sunny who used to draw lines in the sand and punish anyone who dared to cross them, whether friend, lover, or otherwise. Even in his interactions with Jason, he feels uneasy. Jason's return to Port Charles was supposed to be a stabilizing force, a return to form for Sunny, who always performed best with his right-hand man by his side. However, the animosity between them simmers. Jason sees what others do. Sunny isn't thinking clearly, and his decisions are hampered by emotional entanglements and conflicting loyalties. The two have had quiet disagreements that highlight a larger truth. Sunny no longer sees the world as clearly as he once did, and Jason's loyalty may soon be challenged in ways Sunny is unprepared for. Meanwhile, danger is drawing closer to the family than ever before. There is turmoil in the criminal world. New players with no regard for tradition are emerging. The name Corinthos still attracts attention, but it is no longer untouchable. Rivals are looking for flaws, and for the first time in years, they are discovering them. A breach in Sunny's warehouse security. A tip-off gone wrong. A meeting was interrupted. These are not isolated events. They are indicators of a bigger unraveling. Carly, ever the realist, notices it. She hasn't said it explicitly yet, but her eyes are filled with concern. She's seeing her children's father struggle through political minefields and personal betrayals, and she knows the wrong opponent will notice it soon. She's stepped in where she can, attempting to protect Donna and encourage Michael, but the days of trusting Sunny to manage everything are done. He no longer serves as the family's unshakable foundation. Willow too feels the rippling effects. She once believed in giving others the benefit of the doubt, which is both her strength and weakness. But Nina's betrayal touched near to home, and Sunny's unwavering commitment to her has caused Willow to reconsider her position. It's difficult to believe a man who claims to want peace while supporting people who destroy it. Willow may not approach Sunny directly, but the gap widens with each passing day, and Sunny doesn't seem to see it, or worse, doesn't know how to close it. Even Kristina, Sunny's idealistic and frequently neglected daughter, has begun to realize the flaws. She still adores her father, but she recognizes his flaws. Kristina wants a father who can be emotionally present while she continues on her surrogacy journey and builds something genuine with Blaze, rather than making vague threats in the name of protection. She's tired of being advised to stay out of it, when everything in her life is impacted by the turmoil Sunny enables to flourish. She requires stability. Sunny used to provide that even in unorthodox ways. Now he offers ambiguity. The trend is evident. Sunny consistently reacts rather than acts. He underestimates threats. He misplaces his faith. He allows emotions to distort his judgment. The people he cares about are bearing the brunt of the consequences. It was not always this way. Fans remember Sunny for orchestrating great counterattacks, seeing danger from afar and stopping it cold. Sunny, who protected Carly and their children with an almost preternatural sense of what may go wrong. That man would never have let Michael wander so far or let Nina to use him so thoroughly. That Sunny was cold when necessary and clear-eyed about the consequences of weakness. So what changed? Some point to Nixon Falls, where Sunny lived as Mike, a version of himself free of mob ties, memory loss, providing him a taste of calm and emotional openness. When Sunny returned, he brought something from that version with him. It softened him and blurred his edges. And while it humanized him in many ways, it also undermined one of his most powerful qualities. He stopped viewing everyone as a possible threat. He came to a halt and considered several movements ahead. He began trusting too freely, forgetting that in his society, trust is frequently the most hazardous thing to give. Others feel that the repeated betrayals, such as Carly's divorce, Michael's turn against him and Nina's falsehoods, have emotionally worn him. They've eroded his confidence and blurred his once sharp instincts. Sonny has always been a man who values connection, and now that those connections are frayed or broken, he's unsure of who he is. He is second-guessing himself. And in his area of work, hesitation is deadly. In addition, Sonny is getting older. He's no longer the young firebrand capable of outmaneuvering opponents in an instant. Time has caught up. He's slower and more introspective, which can lead to insight but also to skepticism. Yes, he is holding on to power, but power without clarity is a liability. People are watching, rivals, allies, and even family members, and debating if the monarch still deserves to be on the throne. The outcomes are already taking shape. Violence is brewing in Port Charles. Unknown forces are moving closer to Sonny's land. His allies are slipping, with some secretly collaborating with other power figures. His adversaries are pushing the bounds. And his family, the one thing he said he'd always protect, stands farther away, less certain that he's still the protector he always was. Fans only want Sonny to wake up, to detect and seal the flaws before it's too late, to remember who he is and act accordingly, not with idle threats or grandstanding, but with thoughtful, decisive steps that demonstrate he is still capable of leading Port Charles and protecting everyone he cares about. Because if he doesn't, someone else will succeed. Someone who will not hesitate to capitalize on every mistake Sonny makes. When that day comes, Sonny may not be able to recapture the authority he has lost. But there is still time. The pieces remain on the board. Sonny could return to form, draw fresh lines in the sand, stop allowing emotion dictate tactics, and resume leading like the man he once was. He could finally break ties with Nina, mend a strained relationship with Jason, repair trust with Michael, and convince Port Charles and himself that he didn't come this far to succumb meekly to weakness. However, whether he will is the actual question. For the time being, fans are watching and waiting, hoping that the next time danger strikes, which it will, Sonny Corinthos does not drop the ball again. Because if he does, the consequences may ruin everything he has left. General Hospital spoilers for Wednesday, July 2nd suggest that Marco Rios suspects there's more to Natalia Ramirez's overdose. Sonny Corinthos will also allow Marco to become collateral damage in his rivalry with Jen Sidwell. So this is what viewers can expect. For openers, Brooklyn Quartermain will provide Tracy Quartermain with details on Sonny's second deception investment, which is not completely clean. Tracy will declare she is so not happy about being right because she never felt they should accept Sonny's money in the first place. At the hospital, Anna Devane will receive some information from Metro Court Security, so Harrison Chase will inquire whether there is anything useful. Chase and Anna want to find the guy who was lurking outside Natalia's apartment, and GH fans know who he is. Sonny's henchman, Paul. Anna and Chase have examined the possibility that Natalia committed suicide, but they also question if the scenario was manufactured. That's especially true since Natalia had her luggage out and was about to leave town. Sonny isn't actually too responsible for Natalia's decision to mix so many medications and alcohol, but he'll be investigated nevertheless. When Marco is interviewed, he will say that he is almost certain that is not the complete story. It appears that Marco will reject the claim that Natalia intentionally murdered herself. Marco may lay the finger at Sonny, particularly after Lucas Jones relates what he learnt from Jocelyn Jacks regarding Natalia's appearance at the church earlier. Lucas will express some misgivings, so he may believe Sonny is to blame for Natalia's death, though he may also be concerned about Marco's most recent rescue. Marco was in the right place at the right time, and he saved Kristina Corinthos Davis from the Charlie's pub fire. Sonny and Jason Morgan are reasonably dubious, given that Marco is Jen Sidwell's son. Sonny appears to believe Marco is aware of more of his father's plans than he is revealing. That is why Sonny would swear vengeance and suggest that if Marco ends up as collateral damage, then be it. When Jocelyn discovers the fire and arrives at the murder scene, she will tell Vaughn about Sonny endangering Kristina. Jocelyn will be enraged, especially because Michael Corinthos was nearly killed in a fire tied to Sonny. Sonny Corinthos spreads death wherever he goes, Jocelyn exclaims in the Wednesday GH teaser video. While Jocelyn unleashes her Sonny wrath, Giovanni Gio Palmieri will be confiding in Emma Scorpio Drake. Perhaps Gio will concede that he is beginning to grasp the warnings he has received about the dangers of being in Sunny's orbit. Finally, General Hospital spoilers suggest Tracy will have a few tricks up her sleeve for her next storyline. So stay tuned. General Hospital spoilers for Wednesday, July 2nd suggest that Marco Rios suspects there's more to Natalia Ramirez's overdose. Sonny Corinthos will also allow Marco to become collateral damage in his rivalry with Jen Sidwell. So this is what viewers can expect. For openers, Brooklyn Quartermain will provide Tracy Quartermain with details on Sonny's second deception investment, which is not completely clean. Tracy will declare she is so not happy about being right, because she never felt they should accept Sonny's money in the first place. At the hospital, Anna Devane will receive some information from Metro Court security, so Harrison Chase will inquire whether there is anything useful. Chase and Anna want to find the guy who was lurking outside Natalia's apartment, and GH fans know who he is. Sonny's henchman, Paul. Anna and Chase have examined the possibility that Natalia committed suicide, but they also question if the scenario was manufactured. That's especially true since Natalia had her luggage out and was about to leave town. Sonny isn't actually too responsible for Natalia's decision to mix so many medications and alcohol, but he'll be investigated nevertheless. When Marco is interviewed, he will say that he is almost certain that is not the complete story. It appears that Marco will reject the claim that Natalia intentionally murdered herself. Marco may lay the finger at Sonny, particularly after Lucas Jones relates what he learnt from Jocelyn Jacks regarding Natalia's appearance at the church earlier. Lucas will express some misgivings, so he may believe Sonny is to blame for Natalia's death, though he may also be concerned about Marco's most recent rescue. Marco was in the right place at the right time, and he saved Kristina Corinthos Davis from the Charlie's pub fire. Sonny and Jason Morgan are reasonably dubious, given that Marco is Jen Sidwell's son. Sonny appears to believe Marco is aware of more of his father's plans than he is revealing. That is why Sonny would swear vengeance and suggest that if Marco ends up as collateral damage, then be it. When Jocelyn discovers the fire and arrives at the murder scene, she will tell Vaughn about Sonny endangering Kristina. Jocelyn will be enraged, especially because Michael Corinthos was nearly killed in a fire tied to Sonny. Sonny Corinthos spreads death wherever he goes. Jocelyn exclaims in the Wednesday GH teaser video. While Jocelyn unleashes her Sonny wrath, Giovanni Gio Palmieri will be confiding in Emma Scorpio Drake. Perhaps Gio will concede that he is beginning to grasp the warnings he has received about the dangers of being in Sonny's orbit. Finally, General Hospital spoilers suggest Tracy will have a few tricks up her sleeve for her next storyline. So stay tuned. Marco Santos had lived in Port Charles long enough to know that nothing happened without a deeper reason. At first, he assumed his cousin Natalia Rogers Ramirez had just been at the wrong place at the wrong time. The news of her overdose had shocked him to his core. Natalia was tough, knowledgeable and careful. She was not reckless. When Marco first saw her in that hospital bed, pale and lifeless, with tubes everywhere and machinery keeping her steady, something inside him broke. She didn't toy with drugs, and she certainly didn't experiment with the substances that had put her asleep in the General Hospital ICU. The physicians confirmed what he had suspected. Natalia had consumed a fatal combination of painkillers and synthetic narcotics. They were unsure whether it was purposeful, but the dosage suggested foul play. It did not add up. Natalia has no previous history of substance misuse. She was not depressed and had no enemies. At least that's what Marco had assumed. But Port Charles had a way of twisting things, hiding truths behind courteous smiles and subtle threats. He had seen it before. And he saw it now. At first, he remained silent, allowing the police to perform their job. However, after a few days with no arrests, suspects, or even a legitimate line of inquiry, Marco became agitated. He began asking inquiries, making calls, and pieced together Natalia's last known location. The more he pulled on the strands, the more uneasy he became. Natalia had been seen at the Savoy the night she overdosed. She had gone there to meet someone, but she had not mentioned who. Surveillance footage revealed that she was there for roughly 30 minutes. She went alone, but her conduct on camera was unusual. She appeared agitated, frequently checking her phone, and appeared to argue with someone just beyond the camera's frame. Marco obtained a copy of the tape from a contact and watched it repeatedly. Something kept gnawing at him. It was the timing. Natalia had left the Savoy less than an hour before she was discovered unconscious in her car, slumped behind the wheel in a parking lot near Rice Plaza. Marco believed that whatever she met that night was to blame for what had happened. Then there was the phone issue. Natalia's cell had disappeared when she was brought in. A peculiar detail was observed by the police, but it appeared to be a dead end. Marco disagreed. Natalia didn't simply lose her phone. Someone had removed it, most likely to remove evidence. He dug deeper. He dug through her cloud backups, pieced together her call history, and discovered a number that stuck out. A burner line she had called twice in the 2 days before the overdose. It was untraceable, but Marco had seen similar patterns previously. In his previous life, those statistics always pointed to someone with something to hide. He paid a stealth visit to the Savoy a few nights later, seeking to gain a clearer understanding of what Natalia might have been doing there. Curtis was reluctant to speak, but when Marco pressed him, he revealed something strange. Sonny Corinthos had been at the Savoy that same night, seated in the VIP section for a closed-door meeting. Curtis declined to reveal who he was with, but he did confirm that the period coincided with Natalia's visit. Marco didn't believe in coincidences. He began watching Sonny closely and softly. He asked throughout town and spoke with others who had previously done business with Corinthos, including old associates, adversaries, and even bartenders who had served him over the years. Everyone agreed. Sonny had been silent recently. Not necessarily weaker but less careful. More unpredictable. Something had changed in him. That was consistent with what Natalia had informed Marco 2 weeks before the overdose. She told him that Sonny wasn't the man he used to be. Marco wondered if she had become too close to him over the last year. He didn't like how easily Sonny put himself into her life once Ava introduced them. What began as a few innocent conversations had evolved into regular meetups, quiet dinners, and hushed discussions behind closed doors. Natalia said it was platonic, but Marco noticed how Sonny looked at her. Possessive. Calculated. She told Marco that she was worried. That Sonny had hinted at something. An offer he wanted her to consider. Something about assisting him in fixing a mess he'd created. She didn't go into specifics, but she did say it seemed odd. When Marco pressed her to cut ties, she shrugged it off. He isn't dangerous, Marco. He is just complicated. It could only be described as complicated. Looking back, Marco couldn't ignore the pattern. Natalia had gone too close to something, possibly revealing something Sonny did not want her to know. And now she was in a hospital bed, hardly breathing, with no explanation for why. Marco had spent years in structured circles and knew a cover-up when he saw one. And this had all the characteristics of a man attempting to bury a loose end. Marco chose to pay Sonny a visit. He entered Pozzolo's unannounced. The tension in the room changed instantaneously. Sonny was seated in the rear as usual, sucking an espresso and pretending the world had not begun to burn down around him. When he saw Marco, his demeanor remained unchanged. Neither surprise nor irritation. Just cold detachment. "Marco," Sonny said calmly. "Didn't expect to see you here." Marco sat across from him, disregarding Sonny's subtle gesture for his men to stand down. "I need answers," Marco stated plainly. "About Natalia." Sonny furrowed his brow slightly. "She's in my prayers." "Don't do that," Marco demanded. "Don't act like this is some unexpected catastrophe. You were the last person she saw before she overdosed in a parking lot. And I think you understand why." Sonny leaned back gently. "Are you accusing me of something?" "I'm wondering how she got her hands on enough medications to kill herself. Because this was not an accident. There was a message." Sonny remained silent, the silence thick between them. Marco paid close attention to him. The flicker in Sonny's eyes, guilt? Defensiveness? It was not clear. But he didn't dispute it. "I don't know what happened," Sonny finally said. "But I didn't hurt her." "That's not good enough." "It's the truth." Marco leaned forwards, his voice low. "If I find out you were involved, or if you let someone else do it on your behalf, I will burn down your entire operation. I don't care how long you've been seated on your throne. You are not allowed to touch my family." Sonny did not blink. "I'd never hurt Natalia. Perhaps not directly. But you allowed her to get too near to something. Perhaps someone. And now she is paying the price." Marco departed without waiting for a response. He did not need one. He had seen enough. Natalia had woken up in the hospital. She wasn't completely awake, but the doctors were cautiously optimistic. She had displayed symptoms of cerebral activity, including tiny twitches and fluttering eyelids. Marco sat beside her every night, holding her hand and promising her justice. He continued exploring, and it wasn't long before he discovered something even more alarming. Natalia's encrypted email to herself was kept in her drafts folder. The file was short yet scary. A single sentence. "If anything happens to me, check the safe behind the bookshelf." Marco hurried to her apartment. The police had already investigated the area, but they were unaware of the hidden safe. Marco discovered it and ripped it open, revealing a flash drive and a small handwritten journal. The flash drive held audio files. Natalia had been recording her chats with Sunny, not all of them but enough. One dated 4 days prior to the overdose took Marco off guard. Sunny's voice was tight. "You can't back out now," he stated. "You are in it. Like it or not." Natalia's tone was calm yet forceful. "You said I was only going to assist you clean up. You never mentioned anything about crossing the line. You crossed it the second you walked into my world." The line fell silent for a time, then Natalia returned. "If something happens to me," Sunny shut her off. "Then it'll be because you didn't listen." Marco felt bile rising in his throat. Natalia's involvement was deeper than he realized. The journal filled up the rest. Natalia discovered a distribution operation in which someone close to Sunny used a number of front enterprises to distribute illegal substances. This is not his regular stuff. Something new. Fentanyl derivatives and synthetic drugs are being distributed through shell firms. She didn't want to believe Sunny knew, but as she dug more it became clear. He wasn't just aware. He was encouraging it. She had challenged him. He had told her to walk away. She refused. Marco understood exactly what he needed to do. He gave the proof to Anna Devane. She was shocked, but she believed him. She pledged an investigation. Discreet. Thorough. Immediate. Sunny's empire had fractures, and Marco was prepared to pry them open. Natalia awoke 2 nights later, puzzled and in pain but still alive. When she spotted Marco, she started crying. And when he told her what he'd discovered, what she had helped uncover, her face became pale. "They tried to kill me," she whimpered. "He tried to kill me." "No," Marco replied, smoothing her hair back. "He failed." And from that point forward, Marco made it his job not just to protect her, but also to ensure that Sunny Corinthos suffered for every lie, manipulation, and pain he had caused. The world viewed Sunny as a pillar, a guardian, and a necessary evil. But Marco saw what others refused to see, the rot beneath the crown. He would not stop until it was brought to light. General Hospital spoilers indicate that Sasha Gilmore Corbin may soon disappear, leaving her newborn baby, Daisy Corinthos Corbin, in the care of her godparents, Jason Morgan and Felicia Scorpio. Sasha's postpartum paranoia is intensifying, exacerbated by her previous loss of son Liam Mike Corin. With whispers of Daisy's possible disappearance, whether through kidnapping, a mental health crisis, drug relapse, or worse, the question arises: will Jason and Felicia have to stand up to defend Daisy sooner than expected? Could Jen Sidwell or Drew Quartermain have been responsible for Sasha's death? And what does this mean for Michael Corinthos? What will happen with Sasha's disappearance? Sasha's frail state, as evidenced in frantic times at the Quartermain home, has her concerned for Daisy's safety and wondering if she is imagining all of these problems. Rumors of her departure spark a variety of theories, including a kidnapping by Sidwell or Drew to destabilize Michael following his custody victory over Amelia and Wiley Corinthos, a voluntary stint in mental health treatment to address her spiraling fears, a relapse into drug use to escape paranoia, echoing her previous struggles, or even a lethal act by Sidwell or Drew, who is enraged by Michael's role in Willow Corinthos losing custody. Which road will Jason and Felicia take, and when will they need to act? Jason and Felicia's godparent duties come into play. Jason and Felicia, Daisy's godparents, are prepared to step in if Sasha vanishes. Jason, who is extremely loyal to Michael and suspicious of Drew's machinations, such as his lies about Michael's rejection in Germany, may take command and ensure Daisy's safety. Felicia, with her history of safeguarding Maxie Jones and her grandkids, might provide mother care, but their presence may conflict with Carly Spencer's protective instincts.